Welcome to this week's edition of Pickett and Puttin. It's the live from the Oscar Grouch Studios in South Charlotte, along with Bill from the White Sox Cubs Studios, although maybe not the White Sox Studios. Today we got our Oscar episode, and I'm dressed in appropriate attire here with my Oscar trash can lid, which I will now take off because that's kind of a pain in the ass.
I figured.
But if you're watching on YouTube, folks, I got Oscar right off my tail here. So we got a good show for you today. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to have fun doing it. Bill, you got anybody you want to go? Oh, well, yeah. You got anybody you want to do a shout out to?
Oh, I'll give a shout out to the Atlanta Braves, actually. You know, they lost their best player, Ronald Acuna Jr., to injury. One of their other good players had a domestic violence incident. They were about less than 50% to make the playoffs at the trade deadline, but they went out and they made some moves, picked up some veteran guys, and here they are in the NLCS against all odds. So shout out to the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Giving a little chop there.
They're still chopping down there.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, you're never going to change that, nor are you going to change that in Tallahassee either. Okay, I got two shout outs. These are fan favorites. One is to Big Bird. And the reason is Big Bird never, ever missed a fly ball. Didn't bounce off his chest for a ground rule double. He's right in there. Number two, I want to do a shout out. This is in honor of Oscar to all the trash collectors worldwide.
Yeah.
And Oscar would like you to contribute to the Please Retire Fund at OscarTheGrouch.com. He wants all you trash guys to retire because he wants all the trash.
There Send it his way.
Yeah, those are my fun shout outs for the night. Bill had a real one, so that was kind of fun. Well, I looked up a song. It's pretty hard to find a song that relates to Oscar the Grouch and the trash can lids. And if you guys can make an association with trash can lids, you're on fire. If you watch baseball, you ought to know that. Because this trash can lid was made in Texas, if that helps you out.
Parallel universe.
Yeah, there you go. So Oscar has a famous song. It's called I Love Trash, and it was written in 1969. Go look up Sesame Street. You'll hear it. And the famous one he sang was the Grouch Anthem. You got to look it up because when you sing the Grouch Anthem, you have to sit down. That should go over big these days. But this was in 1969. So he was born in 1969. His creator was Jim Henson. His parents were Mrs. Grouch, and he went by aliases. One was Oski that Grandetta gave him as a pet nickname. His mother's nickname for him was Son, and his father's nickname for him was Mr. Grouch. So, and I do have to do a little shout out to the guys who played him. There was a guy named Carol Spinney, Richard Hunt, and Eric Jacobson, for all you people who need a little knowledge about those folks.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, he's had three voices over the years. I think Mr. Jenny recently died, but they had different voices for all the shows. That's one of the saddest things in all of entertainment when Jim Henson died. But anyways, the Muppets are great. So
yeah, I didn't realize that was 31 years ago, 1990. Way too young. Yeah.
When he died, yeah. He was in North Carolina, and he flew up to New York, and I think he was passed away within 48 hours. It was crazy.
Jeez.
Well, anyways, let's start it out here. Let's get on a happier note. We got the baseball playoffs. So tell me where you're going with this.
Well, actually, I'll start it off with a quote. I know you got your quote at the end. I'm going to burn my quote card right now. And this is Billy Beane, and it's from the book Moneyball. And this is truly what, in my mind, is cool about baseball. So this is Billy Beane talking about his job. My job is to get us to the playoffs. Everything after that is fucking luck. And that's really what it is. It's a 162 game season. And that is a marathon. You need pitchers to make 35 starts. You need batters to show up every day. Everybody's getting injured. You got to play 162 games. And then it condenses into these 5 and 7 game series. And here we are. The Giants won 107 games. The Dodgers won 106 games. Those teams, including the playoffs, have played each other 23 times. The Giants have won 12 of the 23. The person that runs the Giants, Ferran Ziti, used to work for the guy that runs the Dodgers for 5 years in LA. The manager of the Giants, Gabe Kapler, worked for the manager of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, for 3 years in LA. This rivalry is incredible. We get game 5 tomorrow night. I am very much looking forward to that. And whoever wins that's going to win the World Series. Heard it here first.
You forgot they're tied at 107 games apiece because the Dodgers had to play an extra game to get in.
Oh, the wild card game.
So they have the same number of games now. They're both at 109, and whoever gets the 110th wins. The other interesting thing I heard today was that the Dodgers, apparently very rarely have had to go to the bullpen. So because of their starting pitching has been so strong. It's so different from the way it used to be, the way, pitchers are managed now, and they throw 4 pitches.
It's totally different. And I think you'll see major changes to the game. I mean, these games are too damn long. I love it, but we can't have these 4-hour games. So I think you'll see major changes. And the Dodgers are the most talented team. They were the World Series favorite, even having to play in that wild card game you referenced, that do or die. Even with that, they were still the Las Vegas World Series favorite. They're by far the more talented team. The Giants kind of came out of nowhere. These are a lot of the older guys that were around the last time they made the playoffs in 2016. You rarely see guys in their mid-30s have a rebound like this, and they all did it. They all bought into this younger coaching staff. So it's kind of a cool story of guys in their mid-30s having a career renaissance after working with younger guys, new coaches. And here we are, the two teams. It's a great rivalry. And in terms of backdrops, that stadium in San Francisco.
Oh, it's very cool.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And let's hope we get some crazy wind and some crazy weather. You might see Max Scherzer come out of the bullpen for the Dodgers. Well, you got all the Hall of Famers. You got Albert Pujols. You've got Charlotte's own Corey Seager, the defending MVP of the World Series last year. You got everything. Well,
and how much fun is that for Pujols to get that far, especially if he gets back there again? I mean, it's like that Shohei Ohtani, he wants out of that Los Angeles to the other. He wants to win.
Pujols was in purgatory, and he didn't think he was going to get traded because no one thought he had a role. And the Dodgers kind of buck trends in that regard. The Dodgers aren't necessarily all analytics all the time. They bucked the data at that time and said, we want Albert, we want a leader. Sure enough, the other day against the lefty starter, he was 2 for 2. So it's still same old Albert up there at 42 years old.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Well, okay, so take it to the other side. I mean, dropping the bucket, you talk about coming out of nowhere, but the Sox.
They got exposed.
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about not the White Sox, but the other color Sox.
They did not get exposed. They are another team that kind of came out of nowhere this year. But to your point about pitcher usage, they are the embodiment of the modern day. Let's just get 2 or 3 innings out of a starter, piggyback. Oh, here's a rookie who's never pitched in the playoffs before. Let's have him throw 2 innings. For me, selfishly, I just love watching Fenway Park with playoff baseball going. Believe me, I'll be cheering for the Red Sox over those trash can bandits.
Oh yeah, well you gotta like I've always loved the green wall, but well, what do you think happened to the White Sox? Was it their pitching or they have injuries? I'm not up to snuff on what happened in the end.
It would have been different if their stud pitcher from all year, Carlos Rodon, was healthy. Yeah. He clearly wasn't. He gave him everything he had. They got exposed. Their weaknesses, we talked earlier, it's a 162 game marathon. The White Sox bludgeoned a lot of teams. I'm talking like 8-3, 7-1. There were a lot of those games. And in the playoffs, everything's tighter. And you know what really matters? Defense and base running. Those are 2 things that you can get by over the course of a season if you've got a bunch of power hitters, power pitchers. But come playoff time, your weaknesses in a matchup like that will get exposed. The Astros don't really steal a lot of bases. They did this week. And the White Sox, Tony La Russa, they need to take a hard look. If he's going to continue to be the manager, which it still makes no sense that he is, he needs to adapt the shift. Every other team is doing the shift. They're putting the fielders in perfect position to make plays. You'll see the Dodgers and Giants do it a ton tomorrow. The White Sox barely shifted, and the Astros found holes. Contrarily, on defense, the Astros shifted, and the White Sox balls didn't find holes. I'm not saying the White Sox would have won with a different manager, but they need to at least get him on board with putting his team in the best position to win.
No shift?
No shift, Sherlock. And Tony La Russa, please
Hey,
let your coaches shift the defense.
Yeah, but without moving out of his house, he could probably go over and coach a football team next year if he wants. He'd pick up it's probably fairly close. Although they're going to move out in the outskirts pretty soon. So not next year, though.
They might get a second team. That's my hot take. I think they might get a down the road when the NFL expands. I think they're going to get a second team.
Well, okay. So what do you think about the Astros? Because the Astros, I mean, barring all the funny talk we talk about them and stuff, are really good.
Yeah, they're just annoying. If they had shown any remorse, and they weren't the only ones cheating, and everyone's cheating to some degree.
No, they all steal signs. I don't want to hear him talk about that,
And people forget the Red Sox got caught with the old Apple Watch and the dugout relaying signs. So believe me, the Astros were a bit of a scapegoat, but I just haven't liked their response. They've used it as like, oh, I don't know why everybody's booing us. I don't know why everybody's throwing trash cans on the field. Because you cheated and you got caught. If they would have owned it and just said, we're sorry. But they just keep this bullshit. I can't stand them. I hope they get their ass kicked. But to your point, they are an extremely well-built team. And they show up in October because they have the defense, they have the base running, they have the timely hitting. They'll go their hitters will go the other way.
And
they're not going to Javi Baez up there.
Well, it is funny when you say that too, though, with you can take any professional sports, especially playoffs. You can take hockey, baseball, football. Why is it the first word we always say about the great team or the winning team is they play great defense?
It matters. You're seeing that funny? With your Carolina Tar Heels right now.
You can blow through with offense and then defense eventually gets you. Well, football's a whole different story because after watching what I watched, even watched professionally and the college level, if I'm a coach and I come in, I'll say, what I first want to know is who are our two tackles, our two guards, and our center. And if they're first class on both sides of the ball, I'll win more than half my games, guys. You can give me a journeyman quarterback and a pretty good running back. I mean, it's amazing to watch how important those are.
And there's less and less quality of them out there. And because so many high schools and colleges run the spread and the quarterback gets rid of the ball in 2 or 3 seconds, these linemen aren't developing and there's less practice time in the NFL.
Right.
These coaches are getting fired constantly, so they're having to learn new systems. There's a huge difference as an offensive lineman versus zone blocking to an area versus power blocking. Yeah, it's obvious. That's how you want sustained success. Give me 5 offensive linemen. I'll figure out the quarterback later.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're right, and that's an issue for college with the RPO. I mean, I don't know. It's the same thing in basketball. We've talked about that before. As far as I'm concerned, at least in the NBA, they ought to just go ahead and knock the 3-point line back another 2 feet.
They have to do something. Yeah,
knock it back 2 feet, and then the only guy who can make it is Steph, because it changed the whole game dynamics. What the good part of that is without that, you wouldn't have all these 7-foot Germans who can shoot 3-point shots. The great players that have come out of Europe, and they're huge guys. And it used to be you had to play center, and now these guys step out and hit the 3, like Dirk and stuff. So,
by the way, you mentioned Steph Curry. I saw a random video on the internet. I don't even remember this at the time. 2008, when he was at Davidson, they played Loyola Marymount, and Loyola double teamed him the whole game. So when he was inbounding the ball, they had 2 guys on him. But when he was not inbounding the ball, they had 2 guys following. He still had like 20-something points. But it was cool to see these highlights of the team double teaming the entire game.
Well, wasn't that when they still had Paul Westphal as a coach and they score 140 points a game, or was that after that?
I think that was right around there, but I think that was a different team.
Remember? Yeah, well, it was before your time, but they had Hank Gathers who, passed away, and Loyola Marymount was a big college basketball story. Well, and the only story that was similar to that, we're totally off tangent here, but with Steph Curry taking them almost to the Final Four was Bill, the senator from New Jersey, Bill Bradley. Yeah, he took Princeton, and so think about it. That's amazing that one guy could mean that much. Now, it's hard to do now, but Steph was as close to one man doing it. Now, he had a great coach and they were a great team. And I'd like to see that come back in basketball, but
college basketball, it's starting. I didn't realize ACC media days are in Charlotte this week.
Yeah, this
is
already
my favorite sports month. You get baseball playoffs, you get college football big games, you get NFL big games. Now you got NBA, NHL, college basketball starting up. What a great month.
Well, the games, they start off playing games, I think, next week in college basketball. I mean, they have, they always had a thing at North Carolina, and all the schools have it called late night with the coaches, and they dance and do all that stuff. And the kids rap and have fun, and it's free admission. And I think it used to be the reason they started that way back. Oh, golly, I don't know if it was even in the 90s. I think it was, but where they couldn't start practice till the 15th. So what they did,
is that why they, okay.
Well, yeah. So what started these late night shows is and the students were all there at 12:01 a.m., usually on the Friday night or Saturday night, they would start their first practice, and it would be a real practice. And then they'd allow open doors to come into the arenas. And then with time, they got rid of that and allowed them to start at 7:30 and, just make it a fun show. The one at North Carolina was always narrated by Stuart Scott.
Oh,
because Stuart Scott was a North Carolina grad. I'm not sure if it was School of Journalism, but he was a North Carolina grad. And so he always came back and did late night with Roy. So he was a pretty, you can imagine a lot of booyahs flying around. He was a pretty good show. So
I'm sure he was an excellent MC. He was a very good Sports Center anchor, but his personality, I feel like as an MC of a big event like that, that's like the perfect job for him.
So let me switch gears a little bit to talk about, you talked about Sam Darnold with Carolina, but also these guys at quarterback. It is interesting to see with a little bit of time in that. Just look at Justin Fields has improved.
Well, Matt Nagy's no longer the play caller.
Yeah, he switched that out.
That's the biggest difference.
Is that the big difference?
It is. And as Sunday against the Raiders, they had an extra offensive lineman in for 16 of the 70 snaps. So they had 6 offensive linemen. They're just running the ball.
Well,
keeping it real simple for Justin.
Well, and how that's exactly what the play caller for the Carolina Panthers should be doing. Chuba Hubbard is a real deal.
He is. That was a great draft pick.
And they should have been pounding the ball to him the whole second half, and they wouldn't have lost to Philadelphia. And you watch.
If they'd been pounding the ball to him a little more, maybe McCaffrey would still be healthy. They need to heat 20 times a game. That's it, coach. That's all. Here's 20 touches. That's it.
But here's the deal. They're both going to be back, I believe, this weekend for the Carolina game with Minnesota. And so, see, that's the deal. That takes tremendous pressure off a young quarterback. If you've got that, when you got McCaffrey, and then you can bring in that kid to spell him. And you're right. Give each guy 15 to 18 touches. Hey, so the only guy that's come right out of the chute to me is just the Hall of Famers. Kind of like when I saw Luke Kuechly and said, "Oh, he's a Hall of Famer." As soon as I saw him play, is the quarterback of the Chargers. I mean, he's just
I love that coach. That is my favorite coach in the league, and he's made a few minor game day mistakes. I mean, he's a first year coach. That's but his overall philosophy when he speaks about using data to inform decisions about, hey, Justin, what are your favorite plays this week? Okay, let's start with those. And going for it on fourth down and just being aggressive. I love that.
Well, how about going
Brandon Staley?
Yeah, but how about going for it on fourth down on your own 24 and
exactly
5 minutes into the third quarter because the statistics tell you to do that. I was like, okay, okay, no. Oh, very good call.
And the game turned out to be a shootout. Cleveland's a very good team.
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield's hurt. If he can get healthy, they could be a Super Bowl contender. They have a hell of a defense.
No, yeah, they are good, and it's interesting to watch. I mean, I guess what the heck happened in Kansas City? The defense is just disintegrated. And I don't know if that's from injury or they've free agency. What happened there? But the quarterback.
Once you pay your quarterback $43 million a year, it really affects your salary cap. And they've made some mistakes in the draft that the analysts called at the time. Like, you never take a running back in the first round, period. That Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's out. Yeah. And they just haven't invested draft capital into the defense. And you're seeing it. They're the worst defense in the league by far. They have that Steve Spagnuolo. Remember him from the Giants, defensive coordinator, beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They could get better, but it's a lot of veterans and not a lot of young guys. I don't know.
Well, I mean, not their year. Yeah, well, I was going to say that was when I had seen the Panthers, Carolina Panthers defense, they're young and they fly around, they're fun to watch.
And they should keep getting better.
Well, and the other guy didn't play last weekend either, Brian Burns, right? Their middle linebacker, he was out, I think.
No, that's Shaq Thompson was
Shaq
out.
Thompson.
And then they've gone out and subsequently acquired the 2019 NFL Defensive Player of the Year from Rock Hill, Stephon Gilmore. So they have him.
Did you see where he lives?
Henderson. Yeah, he lives in Waxhaw.
Right, he lives two doors down from the general manager.
I do want to credit the general manager in general has done an outstanding job, and Matt Rule seems to be doing a good job. And this general manager is certainly more capable than Marty Herney. However, I will say the Sam Darnold thing is just continuing not to age well. You could have had Justin Fields. And then, they drafted the corner. Well, what's happened since then? They went out and traded for a corner that was drafted in the top 10 last year. That's essentially a rookie. And you knew he was available. It was no secret that. Now, did you have to pay less in terms of draft picks by waiting? Probably. But you probably could have got him. You also knew Stephon Gilmore was available. You knew these things when you went out and got Sam Darnold. I am utterly convinced that David Tepper panicked because they had their heart set on Deshaun Watson. When that fell apart, he panicked. I'm not doing another year with Teddy. Made the trade, are paying most of Teddy's salary, and Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater, Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, Ryan Fitzpatrick, whatever name you want to throw out there, they're all the same. They're all average. Whereas Fields is a generational talent.
You're a big quarterback hater tonight.
Oh,
today.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
I just think there's a lot of average quarterbacks out there. And if you're going to pay $40 million, they need to be Mahomes. They need to be Herbert. Herbert's going to be one. Russell Wilson.
I think.
And by the way, the last point I want to make is Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are going to get traded this offseason, and the Panthers are going to be stuck with Sam Darnold at $19 million. Now, they could still probably make some moves, but wouldn't you love to have that $19 million available to soak in the contract of Russell frickin' Wilson or Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think I want him at this stage. You could say the same about Brady, but I think you're on a short leash with Green Bay.
It could be 1 year, but with this defense, and McCaffrey. And
you know what? I haven't given up on Sam Darnold because I think if McCaffrey stays healthy and they use the other running back properly, I think he'll be fine.
Your point about offensive line earlier, McCaffrey, the biggest thing they miss is his pass blocking. Yeah. Even if he goes out and runs a route, he'll at least chip a guy and throw him off, and then Sam can dump it off to him and know he's going to get 4 yards. Christian McCaffrey, the guy is ridiculous. He really is.
Yeah, it's just like you say, you take a young man like that and you can't expose him to that many touches and that much injury.
Nope.
So, but
And it's nothing against Christian. I'm sure he's in peak physical condition. He's probably the healthiest guy in the league. It's just math.
You know
Run
what?
into men 25 times a game, you're going to get hurt.
Somebody's got to go back. You know what you mentioned earlier. I think somebody's got to get into the fact that, and I don't know whose ear you get into, but somebody's got to develop the college line better. And the reason
Iowa does it.
Does it or doesn't?
Iowa does, absolutely. How did Tampa win the Super Bowl last year?
Well,
right tackle rookie Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. That's of the few schools that runs a pro scheme. It's one of the very few.
Well, I can tell you in my whole lifetime, the best corn-fed lineman played at Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan. I've never seen, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame always had.
They still do.
They always have guys that are 7'12" and weigh 400 pounds with no body fat, and you go, hell, I could run behind those guys. I don't know how, they couldn't get the Purdue drum through the tunnel. I don't know how some of their linemen get through the tunnel.
The offensive line issues finally caught up with Clemson. That's what you're seeing this year. They've never had that great of an offensive line and finally caught up with them.
Yeah. Well, you wonder, and that's more and more, that's what makes what happens in Alabama so amazing. But I think the same thing's catching up with everybody with the transfer portal. You go to Alabama as a 5-star and I'm not going to sit on the bench for 3 years. I'm just going to go, okay, hell, he doesn't have any plans for me till my junior year. He's redshirting me my freshman year. So I'm out of here. And they're allowing him to do it, and so it's free. It's basically AAA baseball for football.
Yeah. Well, I read an article about Ryan Day's, because they keep stacking the 5-star quarterbacks at Ohio State. Yeah. So they asked Ryan Day, how are you doing this? Like, these guys aren't transferring. Like, you have 3 5-star quarterbacks, I think sophomore or younger, on your roster. And he said, we're just extremely transparent in our recruiting. If you want to come here, your job is it's in pencil. It's not in pen. You're going to have to keep working for it. If you want to be named the starter from day one, there's other schools for you. But if you want to compete at the highest level here at Ohio State, we got a scholarship for you if you want to come in and compete. And I love that. I think that's the right attitude. Instead of trying to promise a young man something or, yeah, we'll start you in this year. Just, hey, come in and compete. And if you don't want to compete, you want to be named the starter, go somewhere else. It's working for him.
Well, I'm excited for the playoffs this year only because, okay, sure, Alabama's got control of their own destiny, but their own destiny goes through Athens and Atlanta. And I'm willing to say I would pick. I'm a believer in Georgia over Alabama if that's what comes to pass. Now, who the other 3 are? It could be Iowa, or it could be Michigan, or it could be Penn State. It could be Ohio State. It
could be Michigan State.
It could be Michigan State.
They're undefeated.
Yeah. So
Cincinnati.
Well, Cincinnati now, the problem that Cincinnati has, I think, going forward is they're not going to lose another game, but they've won their 2 big games. They beat Indiana and Notre Dame on the road, and they don't have any other big. And I can just see them ending up sitting there at 5.
Now they have to become the biggest Notre Dame and Indiana fans in the world. They need those 2 teams to win it. No, you're absolutely right.
And well, I thought Notre Dame would get beat by Virginia Tech, to be honest with you. And Notre Dame's the kind of team, you got to watch that. That's the kind of game where North Carolina goes in there and Sam Howell goes crazy. And, you never know. That's the kind of, everybody will say, oh, they're going to kill them. And I don't think that's going to happen. They haven't rolled over. And Michigan, I think Michigan is, I haven't watched them, but I know he's got a great running game. And I don't know about I think he's finally got his quarterback.
Maybe, but the backup is a young mobile stud. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, it's the rare time where a guy stuck around, took a pay cut, overhauled his staff, and it seems to be working.
Hey, but you know what you're saying when you're talking about Oklahoma. So there you go, from preseason Heisman Trophy winner to he's going to be on the bench.
Whew.
You know, so how? I mean,
he's going to transfer, I would assume.
Rattler.
Yeah, I would assume if they don't start him the rest of the way. And I saw that the local school's newspaper, the journalism students, got their wrists slapped because they snuck into some secret building and saw that the backup quarterback took all the snaps with the first team today while Spencer Rattler was with the second team.
Well,
So
no,
Lincoln Riley wasn't happy about that.
Well, you knew that was coming because he came in and they were down 28-7 and then they won a game.
And he could run. That brought a new dimension. Rattler was supposed to be the number one pick. I've never seen somebody fall quite like that.
Well, Sam Howell's fallen.
Sam Howell's fallen. Sam Howell might want to stick around another year.
Well, I don't mark my words. The kind of kid he is, from my knowledge of him and stuff, I won't be surprised if he does.
The only thing is he has going for him is there's no good quarterbacks in this class, so he still might go top 10.
Yeah,
the guy from Liberty is the only one who's living up to the hype.
Well, if Sam Howell finishes the year strong, then yeah, he's got an arm. You know, he's got a good arm, and he's an accurate arm. He throws a good deep ball. But you know, it's one of those kids you watch him and you go, he's got to be in the right situation. You know, I just always feel bad for a kid like Lawrence, you know, because when you get your top pick, you get a lot of money rather shoot, but you go to a crap team every time. And that's just, and that, I mean, that you can look at Sam Darnold, you can look at the kid they got there now in New York.
Joe Burrow got injured last year. Kyler Murray got injured early in his career. It's tough.
Yeah. Well, the kid is with the Jets. He's getting, you know, he'll be out of there like Darnold in 3 years. Hopefully won't ruin his career, but I don't know. Well,
I hope these guys don't get hurt. That's the thing, because it's hard as a rookie to process all that.
Well, you got any last thoughts about the playoffs? You're picking the Dodgers, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm picking the Dodgers to beat the Giants, but whoever wins that game is going to win the World Series.
So it's going to be LA and Houston
again.
Yeah.
That'll be the third time in the last 5 years.
Wait,
oh man,
that's low and outside right there, folks, on the trash can lid.
And nobody's more upset about that than Dodger fans, because that was the World Series they got stolen from them. So, you want to see the rivalry ramped up.
Hey, I got one more comment. So, you know, my driver here. So this is the 18-inch driver. Okay, a little old there. But this stuff of the ruling bodies in golf saying they can't have it. Well, who cares if they got a 64-inch driver? Any son of a bitch can swing the thing. Good luck with it, you know? I mean, they keep coming in, and, you know, I went back and said, you know, these guys, the arm bar and putting and stuff, and I'm going, you know what? They should go back and allow croquet putting and Sam Snead, where he bent down, he putted with the ball. You know, what do they care?
Do you think here's my conspiracy theory. Is it to coddle their equipment manufacturers?
Well, you wonder, because they're all on, it's like everything else, the technology, you can't stop the technology. So it's all physics. So all they're trying to do is pick up speed. So for every 3 miles an hour of speed, you pick up 9 yards or whatever the heck the numbers say. So that's why, you know, if you want to be, you know, hoojiggy and hit the ball, swing 140 miles an hour, you can fly it farther. But the deal with a longer club is, so if you have a longer club, you have a bigger arc. So the club travels, you get a faster swing speed,
more momentum, all that,
and all that crap. But you're right. It's all about the shafts, the heads, and the balls. And I don't know the equipment people are all in their ears. So we'll see. That's a good conspiracy. That's like
follow the money. Follow the money.
Did you hear the commissioner of the NHL? He kind of went like this to
Oh,
ESPN.
yeah, that was great.
What a great.
And on a day when Adam Schefter, it was revealed that he literally sent an article to the head of the Washington football team and said, "Any changes? Are you okay with this?" That turns it from a journalistic article to a corporate press release. So I hope everybody realizes when Adam Schefter or Woj for NBA,
You still there?
or or Ian Rappaport, any of these insider sources that break news, just know they are literally public relations mouthpieces for the leagues.
Yeah, I've always known that with those reporters and stuff, you know, that especially the NFL guys. I did used to always kind of have trust in Mort and Sal Palantonio, but that's, you know, yeah, but you're right, it's the same old stuff.
Yeah, well, Sal Pal doesn't break like, oh, the NFL's COVID policy. Like Sal Pal just kind of covers teams. I think he's more of an actual journalist than a lot of the jokers they have over there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, how can you trust a Michigan grad anyways to be a reporter?
I don't. Especially a guy with multiple
I'm not speaking any names. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the rivalry is back.
Well, hey, I got a quote here. I got, well, two of them. They're world famous quotes from Oscar the Grouch.
I would hope so.
Okay, says Oscar's the theme of our show tonight, and so I want you to know. So Oscar's got two here. He says, first one, and I like this. He's the director. He's been elected, by the way, to be the director of the Houston Astros communications team. And his number one quote for them is, "Don't bang on my can." That's right out of Oscar's mouth. And then the other one, and this is Oscar's quote for life. He says, "Just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It is called garbage can, not garbage cannot can."
There we go. There we go, Oscar. Yes, you can, buddy. Yes, you can.
It's a garbage can, so he can, and I like Oscar.
He is the funniest character on Sesame Street.
Well, I don't know. It's toss up. I'm pretty high on Animal. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I like Animal. I like Animal playing the drums. He's in some commercial now. He's famous. So,
I'm optimistic that we can move on from Old MacDonald and Hickory Dickory Dock and get back into Sesame Street sooner than later in this house. But right now, it's Old MacDonald and Hickory Dickory Dock all day, every day.
Well, it's been enjoyable, Billy. I'll have a rest of a good week. We'll see everybody next week on our next episode of Picking and Putting, or whenever we show up to do it. And we enjoyed having you. Remember, you can listen to us on all the platforms. In fact, we're on a new one called Verbal, VURBL.
I didn't even knew that one was out there. We're advanced.
We're on Verbal. Barriers. Yeah, we're on Verbal. And if you want to watch us and see Oscar in the background on my studio, we're on YouTube. So look forward to it. You can find us on we got a website too, whatever, all that stuff. Anyways,
Picking and Putting.
Yeah, picketandputting.com. Okay, we'll see you next week. Enjoyed it, Billy.
Peace out.
Peace out. Later, guy.